who is the president and CEO of my company, Applied Micro. So Dr. Gopi is going to conduct a workshop today, and before I introduce Dr. Gopi formally, I'd just like to say a couple of words about Geet Pro. Some people call it Geet Pro, some people call it Geet Pro, but essentially it's Global Indian IT Professionals, which is an organization for the Indian diaspora professionals from the Indian diaspora in the US. So like all of you know, we have organizations, associations for pretty much every functional group in other vocations. Like you have lawyers organizations, you have doctors organizations, but an all-encompassing organization and association of IT professionals, particularly Indian IT professionals, is lacking. And that's was lacking in the past, and that was especially obvious because the IT profession itself is global in nature. Obviously, you all know that India is a software IT powerhouse. We have literally millions of Indian IT professionals that come to the US, that go all over the world and support the IT activities all over the world. And Geet Pro was started to fill this gap, essentially. And Geet Pro is global in nature because we have chapters not only in the US but in India as well. So the responsibilities of the organization is basically a reflection of the responsibilities of the individuals who form a part of the organization. And the first and foremost responsibility is to develop some sort of leadership in the organization. We all have, engineering talent that comes and moves between India and the US, and the objective of an organization like Geet Pro is to develop leadership. And it's not a coincidence that Dr. Gopi is actually going to be talking about leadership, virtuous leadership too. And it's super important to have a leadership with the right qualities behind it. And Dr. Gopi will talk a lot more about that. And we also want to ensure that a lot of the excellence, the innovation in the Indian community is translated into companies, into entrepreneurship. We all know that there are massive IT outsourcing companies in India, particularly. I don't need to mention names, but you all know which the big behemoths are, the 600-pound gorillas are, but they all are much more focused on services rather than on innovation and products. And one of the important things that we have to do is build intellectual property, build innovation, build entrepreneurship. And one of the objectives of this organization is to encourage that and inculcate that in the members. So we have chapters all over the US. In the US itself, we have, apart from the Bay Area, we have chapters in Washington DC, in Denver, and Seattle. In India, we have chapters in Bangalore and Pune, and we have centers in the pipeline in Hyderabad. Even in the US, we have centers, coming up in Atlanta and the New York, New Jersey area. And in terms of activities, we have networking events, lecture series from eminent people who have excelled in their own respective walks of life. And Dr. Gopi is going to very soon inform you guys in a workshop, and we want people like Dr. Gopi to come in and share that kind of stuff with the community. We have special interest groups, technology topics, like cloud computing and mobile development is pretty big these days, and we'd like to create these special interest groups. And also discharge our social responsibilities, in the fields of education, development, entrepreneurship, and so on. So that's a little bit of a background on the organization. Before we launch into the workshop, I'd like to take a couple of moments to introduce Dr. Gopi, Dr. Parmesh Gopi. it would be very hard for me to very, simply introduce Dr. Gopi. I've known Dr. Gopi for about a couple of years now, I think 3 years now. And I can very confidently say that in my entire lifetime, I haven't met anyone as broad and as deep as Dr. Gopi is. I mean, this is simply something that I can say with 150% confidence. I mean, you have to hear him to believe this. I mean, he knows the entire Bhagavad Gita, and he has, enthralled audiences in the Bay Area with his exposition of the Bhagavad Gita. And the interesting part is, it's not just the gist of the Bhagavad Gita, but a fantastic multi-dimensional description, multi-dimensional analysis of the Bhagavad Gita, something that I have never heard, the likes of which I have never heard before in my life. And further, he sings the verses in very sophisticated, very complicated Carnatic music ragas. He is a trained and highly accomplished Carnatic musician himself. And Dr. Gopi is, he has a master's and PhD in electrical engineering from the University of California in Irvine. He was the vice president and general manager for Marvell Semiconductor's wireless division, consumer products and wireless division. He essentially put Marvell on the map of consumer and wireless. I mean, today a big chunk of the multi-billion-dollar Marvell revenue is a contribution of Dr. Gopi. And so after Marvell, he became president and CEO of Applied Micro. And within a span of a couple of years, he has taken Applied Micro from a company that had completely, was lost in the noise, to a company that has become one of the most interesting companies on Wall Street. So his technical acumen, his business acumen is something extraordinary, and he has been able to transform companies entirely, transform business units entirely. And it's amazing how you can have a person with this personality and this completely different personality, orthogonal personality, where he can sing and where he can talk about Bhagavad Gita at such depth. And don't think it stops at Bhagavad Gita. He has enthralled audiences in the Bay Area talking about the Chandi, Devi Mahatmyam. The Chandi or the Durga Saptashati is a very highly symbolic, very sophisticated, very deep, it's poetry essentially that sings the praises of Shakti and in all her manifestations. And Dr. Gopi has taken the Chandi and has, we do have certain recordings of it. He has spoken in Jayarajji's house, and he has spoken in our house, and we have some recordings of this. You'll all be enthralled. You'll be completely amazed by his, completely new and original interpretation of Devi Mahatmyam. So, I can't find enough words to, sort of describe his, the breadth and depth of Dr. Parmesh Gopi. And so today, without much more ado, I would like to, invite him to come in and, lead this workshop on virtuous leadership. And I can tell you with complete confidence, there's no better person to talk about this particular topic. So, Dr. Gopi.